Well, hello there. Hello. Come on in. Come on in. File in. Have a seat. Just holler at somebody. Tag somebody in. Click share. Hello, everybody. You are tuning into the Ask Schellie show, and I am Schellie Fanfan. I am your host and your emotional intelligence expert. Today, we are talking about the top 5 things that men want from women. Woo! It's going to be a hot conversation, and I need my consultation team. So for those of you who are tuning in, make sure that you go into the comment section and let me know who you are, where you are tuning in from. Make sure you have your paper and pen, because we are going to be bringing up some different perspectives onto the stage with yours truly, Schellie Fanfan. But we want your feedback as well. There's a man writing in who wants me to share my perspective on the top 5 wants of a man. And that's specifically related to what the top 5 wants a man has from a woman. So that is what we are talking about today. I need my consultation team to engage. And it's simple. Just share your feedback in the comment section. I'm going to be highlighting the question for today. Make sure that you are going into the comment section to let me know who you are and where you are tuning in from. Hello, TJ Legacy Cole. What's up, my brother? He says, this should be a good one. Feeling the glasses. Thank you so much. I've had them forever, and I have been experiencing, my brother, headaches. Like, go figure. I have the glasses and I don't wear them at near as much as I need to. So I've been trying to change that behavior so that I can get some relief with these headaches. Hello. Welcome. You are tuning into the Ask Schellie show. We are talking about the top 5 needs that men have for women, right? So these are the top 5 things that men want from women. And we are going to be bringing up different perspectives onto the stage. TJ Legacy Cole, thank you for letting us know that you're here. Hello, Alethea from Hotlanta. Do they still call it that? Alethea, I think I'm heading your way. Sis. Atlanta has been calling me. I went to Georgia 3 times in 1 month in October. Thank you so much for tuning in, love. Make sure that you go into the comment section. Let me know what you believe a man's top 5 wants are, right, from a woman, right? The top 5 things that men want from women. Go ahead and go into the comment section. Share your feedback. Hello, you are tuning in to the Ask Schellie show, and we are going to be highlighting a question in just a few moments. Please let me know who you are, where you are tuning in from. We have different perspectives today. Joining me right here on stage, and you are encouraged to do the same. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to quickly share the link for anybody who feels like they want to join me up here on stage. Click the link. You can keep your camera off. You can join me right here to share your feedback. That's in the comment section. All right. TJ Legacy Cole says, I got my top 5 ready. Go ahead and put it in the comment section. Again, you can join me here live on stage. Are we ready for the question? Hello, for those of you who are just logging in, you are tuning into the Ask Schellie show. I am Schellie Fanfan, your emotional intelligence expert. I am the CEO and owner of Ask Schellie Consulting. It is a team of emotional intelligence experts specializing in relationships and intimacy. And so every Tuesday, I have the privilege and the opportunity to share a question with you all, my community of listeners, to help people who want to add tools to their wellness toolbox. So today, the question we are highlighting is as follows. It's quite simple, ladies and gentlemen, and it reads, Dear Ask Schellie, that's me and all of you, I need my woman to hear the answer to this next question. I'm going to need you guys to stop using this show to validate your position in arguments and disputes with your loved ones. But I love it. Okay. Dear Ask Schellie, I need my woman to hear the answer to this next question. What are the top 5 things what men want from a woman. Let me repeat that. I need my woman to hear the answer to this next question. What are the top 5 things men want from a woman? She makes it seem like the things I want are not realistic or normal, and I am sick of it. All right. So he says, Dear Ask Schellie, I need my woman to hear the answer to this next question. What are the top 5 things men want from a woman? She makes it seem like the things I want are not realistic or normal, and I am sick of it. Guess what, guys? Guess what? He doesn't share what it is he has expressed to his woman as what he wants. I'm so mad at that. I'm going to try to see if we can get his response because, I want to hear it. Don't you want to hear it? I want to know what it is she believes is unrealistic or abnormal. But in absence of that information, we're going to move forward. I'm going to bring our first guest on with me. This is a gentleman who is going to share his perspective on what he believes the top 5 are for men. Oh boy, I see you guys are joining in. We have another guest with us as well. We're going to bring on our first guest up today, and he is going to share with us what he believes the top 5 things a man wants from a woman. Stefan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you? I love the energy.
Thank you so much. And I love your yes. You are always there to say yes, yes, yes to your old buddy, old pal. Where are you tuning in from? Let us know where you're tuning in from.
From New York, Staten Island, New York.
Staten Island, New York. And New York is in the building. Let me hear from you guys. How many New Yorkers we got tuning in today? Thank you so much. Listen, tell me what you think. So this is a man who says, it's a man who wrote it, not a woman. A man says he needs his woman to hear this because apparently she believes that the things that he's saying he wants are not realistic or normal. So tell me, from your perspective, what are the top 5 wants of a man when it relates to as it relates to what he wants from his woman?
So before I go to mine, right? You mentioned that he did not say anything to his woman, right?
Correct. He
And I
doesn't
think
say
right.
he
So
doesn't
I
say
think
what it is he's communicated to her.
yeah. So I think a lot of that is because a lot of we're afraid to, right? So we're afraid of the pushback. We're afraid of what the response will be, and so and from as a man, in my experience as a man, and just talking to other fellow men out there, right? A lot of the time is we try to express that, but the pushback is bananas, right? So it's like, then what's the point, right? So that's actually one of my top 5s, right? Is which is this is my number one. The number 3 was listen and pay attention, right? We may not say something, but just our reaction, how we move, will tell you something. So pay attention. So that's one of them. So now I'll go with my top 5, but remember, this is my top 5. I know there's probably others that can be added. I have bonuses if you don't mind me adding.
That's okay. Yes.
But I
We'll take
think
it all. We know. We'll take
but
it
I
all.
think this is true across the board, right? So number 1, bring something to the table. Right? We always hear females talking about the man has to do this, the man has to do it. Even when you go on Instagram and Facebook, and if my man doesn't do this, I don't want him. Throw him away. Okay, but what about you? Right? Bring something to the table, and then we're not just talking about a career and job, because a female can have a career and job, but that's it. That's all you got, right? A woman can say, okay, yeah, I traditional cook, clean and stuff. Okay, cool. I can pay for that service.
Oops.
Right? So what else are you bringing? Okay.
Okay.
Number 2, um, don't be a liability. Right? Don't be a liability. So what does that mean? Do you want me to elaborate on that? Because I can.
Go ahead.
So what does that mean? That means if I get with her, is she gonna create, this might sound crazy, females work with me, is she gonna create another debt? Right? Or does she? It is. Will she emotionally overwhelm me? Would she be emotionally tiring? Right? Is this going to be more of a burden than anything? Right? So it's a lot more, but I think you get the point.
I
And
got
and
it.
and so don't be a liability. Number three, we talked about already. Listen and pay attention. Number four, and these are not in the chronological order.
Okay.
All right. So number four, excuse my language, but know when to shut the fuck up.
Oh my gosh, he's about to get kicked off the show. I'm
um,
just kidding. Go ahead.
but I think most men know what I mean when I say you need to know when to shut the fuck up. Okay. Um, so there's no need to elaborate on that. Number five, or I'll give you an example. If I make a decision or if I do something and it's wrong, I know it's wrong. We know it's wrong, but let it go. Don't harp on that and make me feel like a lesser of a man, or like now every time I make a decision it's bad, right?
Mm.
So just chill, relax. We know it's messed up. Um, Number five, take care of take care of yourself holistically. But so don't just say I gotta take care of my face and my hair. There's other parts of your body you need to take care of as well. Now, originally I was gonna say take care of your fitness and all that stuff, but I think that's gonna come be cliche coming from me. It's gonna be too cliche, but it holistically, like look at yourself holistically. Not just it's more than just the face and your hair, your body, your health, how you look, how you appear, and vice versa. Men also as well, but we're talking about my top five here, right? So
Mhm. Correct. Correct.
so just taking care of yourself holistically. um I have two bonuses, maybe three. I'm gonna
Okay. I
can
want
I
to hear the bonuses. Do me one favor. Go back. What was number one? Because the pushback was associated with listen and pay attention. Correct.
um
To not pushing back on what you guys
yeah,
share as your needs. Okay. I just
correct,
want to make sure I
correct.
connect those. So your number one was
Was bring something to the table.
got it. Okay. Thank you.
So that number one and two can probably be related. Number two
Hmm.
was the not be a liability. So that's almost like bring something to the table, right?
Got it. Okay.
Number six would be, but I think we talked about this already. Be more submissive, know your role, right? Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, sometimes you have conversation and people say, "Do we still have roles?" I think we do. You talked about it in previous shows that everybody has a role,
Mhm.
but you have to know that role, right? You have to know what role to play. So it goes back to some of the things you mentioned in the past. Um, know how to hold yourself accountable. So a lot of times it's when you're having a conversation with somebody, with a female, most of the time it's like, yeah, the relationship didn't work out because he was X, Y, and Z. He didn't do this. He didn't da da da. Okay, but this is like your fifth relationship. So is it him or is it you?
Oh boy.
Right? So
Mm.
sometimes you have to look at self. You mentioned this in your shows before in the past, right? Look at self before you blame others as to why something is not working. Maybe it's not working because maybe I'm communicating bad. Maybe I'm moving crazy. I don't know. That's a general term, but I think you can take it how you want to take it. But so look at yourself. Be accountable for your action. Be accountable before you think. And then last one is um, be less alpha, right? So, but at the same time, I know sometimes you have to be alpha because maybe the man you're messing with or dealing with, I'm sorry, is not like the alpha guy, but you have to understand that to know like he might not be outwardly an alpha guy, like loud and like I'm not loud and boisterous and stuff like that, but I don't want somebody who's super alpha, right? So that goes back to know your role, but unf- men are still alpha dogs, right? No matter how, I don't care what you say, we still have some. So I don't want to take over your show, so I'm gonna chill out a little bit. But I'm just the point is, be less alpha, right? So goes back to like, I guess, know your role and stuff like that. So that's my
Okay.
top five. I think hopefully I think it speaks true to others. Guys, I think I can't see the comments, but I think they're with me with that. And the females that are not, you're just upset. I'm just kidding.
And you know what? We appreciate it. And we understand that everybody has different perspectives, right? And so we are being respectful of those diverse perspectives on this show. These are people that are coming on to say, this is the top five from my perspective. And I'll be sharing my perspective as well. And those who are watching, you can share your perspective right in the comment section. Stefan, you mentioned something when you talked about holistic health. You're like, of course, that's coming from me. And that is because you are a fitness model. You're so big on holistic health. You live it, you walk it. Tell us a little bit about the clothing line that you represent.
Me wear all I can be is me. So it's www.allicanbeisme.com. Our IG is me wear underscore apparel. It's a motivational apparel line. And it's not about just, oh, this shirt looks good, these tights looks good. It's all about how it feels on you. It's a motivation. So a lot of our stuff, it's being unstoppable, being fearless, being it's there's a lot of word of affirmation, right? That's on our apparel that shows who you are. But it's not only just in the gym, but also in your career, in life, and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what the apparel, my clothing line is about. It's me and my partner, business partner. So I appreciate allowing me to plug that in.
Of course. And so repeat that website one more time.
It's www.allicanbeisme.com.
All I Can Be Is Me. So go check that out. Stefan, thank you so much for joining us today. Your feedback was priceless. God bless you. And we're representing Queens, raised in Queens. We went to Catholic school together. God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Of course, absolutely. We have a professional with us, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Welcome to the stage, Mr. Preston Patterson. Oh, I see my friend in the audience. Make sure you stay backstage, mister. I see you there. I'm watching you. I'm coming to you in just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Preston Patterson. He is a licensed psychotherapist here in the beautiful state of Florida. He is a genius. I know this to be true. Preston, tell us a little bit about what you do and tell us about your practice as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, can you hear me, first of all? Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
okay, great.
I can hear you. We can all hear you.
Good. Yeah, I'm a licensed mental health therapist, and I do help people with relationships, and I do neurofeedback, which is kind of a different way of training the brain, and do a lot of talk therapy and help people with anxiety and depression and trauma, things like that. So that's a lot of what I do. This is my office. And
yeah. And he is amazing, just naturally gifted and anointed for what he does. And ladies, I can tell right now what you're thinking. He is married, okay? So leave him alone. He is a happily married man. Tell us what you think. And so this man writes in and he says, I really need my woman to hear this. So apparently he has some expectations of the person that he's with that she's considering to be unrealistic. So tell us from your perspective, Mr. Patterson, the future Dr. Patterson, tell me a little bit more about what you think those top five are.
All right, the top five. Well, I did want to start off by just kind of saying real quick that I think in men and women, we have these kind of two pieces to us. One piece is very conscious. That's when we're feeling safe and happy, and when we're really on top of our game with our wants and needs. That's one thing. But when we start to feel uncomfortable or unsafe or angry or frustrated, something like that, we sort of drop into this other part of our brain, called the limbic system, and that's like our fire alarm. So when that starts going off, the conscious part of us goes out the window, and we just sort of become reactive. We just want to protect ourselves at any cost. So that's usually when we hurt our partners verbally. When we get in an argument, we regret it later, something like that. But I think a lot of times people can walk around in that sort of reactive fire alarm space just during the day, and that can sometimes color, like, for a guy, what he wants in the moment. Is he coming from that conscious place where he just feels completely at ease and there's no stress, no worry? Or is he coming from a place where he's trying to protect himself and get his needs met kind of more aggressively? So to me, when a man feels safe and is really in his conscious mind, these are some of the things I think he wants and that I want when I'm in this way. First of all, I think they want to feel safe. And that means when you're in a relationship, I think that means your partner, you're feeling a consistency of like presence and I'm trying to think. You don't worry about them just leaving, or the relationship seems very stable. And then the interactions with them are warm. They're not, there's not any loud volume in the voice or negative body language. It's all warm and loving. And that's where real safety is. The second thing I think men and I want when we're conscious is to be vulnerable with our partners and to have them be vulnerable with us. And that's kind of just this idea that we like to be seen for who we really are, and we like to see them in authenticity. And I know a lot of times when I don't feel seen or heard, it can be a big trigger, and that can sort of lead to an argument sometimes or something like that. So I think the third thing the conscious man wants is autonomy. So to be free to explore and maintain their individual identity. So I think sometimes in relationships, we have these things that are really important to us, and in the beginning, we sort of start to give those up because we worry about what the other person is thinking or how they're feeling, and so we sort of lose ourselves on both ends, and then one day we're like, oh, I want that back, and sort of start taking it back in other ways. So I think that we do want to be free to be ourselves, and we want our partners to be free to be themselves. I think number 4 would be to have our accomplishments celebrated. And this is something you taught me, Schellie, a lot, was about positive reinforcement. But I think a lot of times we can get in this mode in our relationships where we just expect things from our partners. It's just the status quo. Things that aren't even easy for them. So maybe your partner has your man has a habit of, maybe being on his phone too much or something, not paying attention. And so it's just sort of expected that he won't do that, instead of when you notice him paying attention, just celebrating that and being like, wow, I really appreciate what you're doing. I know this is big for you. So that's the positive reinforcement piece. And number 5, I think that freedom and exploration and sexual intimacy is important, where there's not a lot of pressure or wounds on either end preventing that exploration. But I think a lot of times that is stifled by shame or different things people grow up with. But I think ultimately men and women want to be free with their bodies, even if they feel like that's difficult. Maybe they can't all do that.
Right.
So then, however, so those are the things I think we want when we're being conscious. But I think when we're being reactive, I think we get reactive when any of those things I mentioned are not really met.
Right.
And that's usually a sign for us to, we start to want to take those things aggressively when they're not being freely given. And so that's where we can kind of, you can imagine like an animal in a corner just kind of lashing out or something. That's where you might get an angry, aggressive guy, or maybe a turtle poking its head in the shell. That would be like a retreating, sort of running away kind of guy. And I'm trying to think what else. So pretty much when you get reactive, you start projecting you start projecting those feelings onto like anything around you, just the immediate situation. So maybe you don't feel heard or seen, and so and maybe that's something you've grown up with your whole life. You haven't felt really. You've had a long history of not feeling heard or seen, and your partner says something and it just doesn't get what you're trying to convey, and so you might project all of that, trigger all that feeling on them and what they just said, or really anything. But it's really about a desire to get that need met, not about what they said being harmful to you.
Right.
So, I'm not sure if that all made sense, but I'm open for any questions.
It does. This is so good. And most of the time when we are reacting, when we're emotionally reactive, and of course for everybody it's different, usually it falls into three main categories, right? And I'm just being very general. And that's fight, flight, freeze. We get aggressive. That's the fight, reaction. Then there's flight. I need to go. I escape, avoid. There's freeze, where you just get still. You isolate. You may get numb. And so the whole goal is to achieve safety. And that is so important with intimacy coaching, marriage counseling. Just how can we find what are those threats to that safety? Because what you're saying is that in that safe place, we're more conscious. And from a conscious man, he says, a conscious perspective, those needs are to feel safe. Like we're not in this aggressive environment. It's safe to be vulnerable, to be seen, to be heard. That was the second one. Autonomy. I'm free to be myself, and you're free to be yourself. The fourth is celebrating accomplishments. Positive reinforcement is so amazing. What we attend to will continue. So when we are not attending to the very thing that we want to see multiply, you can expect to get more of the same unfavorable outcomes and responses. And the last one, sexual intimacy and exploration. The top 5 needs a man has, or top 5 things a man wants from his woman, a conscious man, a man that's in a safe place. That is your response to the writer. For those of you who are tuning in, let me know what it is you think. Go into the comment section. Let me know what your top 5 are. Let me know what your responses are to our guests. Preston Patterson, where can people find you and connect with you? Because, when you talked about like sexual intimacy and even safety, so much of that relies or depends on how healthy people are and how intentional they are about addressing their emotional injury. Tell us where we can find you.
I'm trying to think of the best way to do that. I could give out maybe my website. What would be the best way to do that? Or
sure, let's do the website. Go ahead.
Okay, it's centerforthehealingarts.com. Maybe I could put that in the comments. I don't know if that's the best way.
Centerforthehealingarts.com.
Yeah,
and I'll make sure that I put it in as well.
Yeah, if anyone wants to get a hold of me, I'm extension 9 here on the number on the website. But men are sort of wounded in very certain ways in society where they may not even know that they have these desires or needs, because they are in that reactive state just because of how they've been conditioned and the ways that they've been hurt growing up. So that's maybe why that list sounds a little different than what you might typically think of.
That's what we need. We needed that perspective. Centerforthehealingarts.com. I have that on the right there in the banner there, centerforthehealingarts.com. Make sure that you connect, heal that emotional injury. Mr. Patterson, thank you so much for joining me here on stage. Your feedback was absolutely valuable and priceless. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Schellie. See you later.
All right. So we got a different perspective from a clinician: safety, vulnerability, which includes being seen and heard, autonomy, being free to be yourself, celebrating accomplishments, sexual intimacy, and exploration. He said were the top 5. Our first guest said, bring something to the table. Don't be a liability. A man doesn't want any additional debts. Listen and pay attention. And then he says, chill, relax. I'm know I made the wrong decision, but let's not harp on that. Don't take my manhood away by, putting my face in the fact that I made a mistake. He did say something else and use the F word, shut the F word up. But what he was trying to say was just relax and give me an opportunity to make it right. He says, take care of yourself holistically. Talked about knowing your roles, being safe with submission. I'm adding some padded words in there to make it a little bit softer than his delivery. Look at self before you blame others. He says, take accountability and be less alpha. Those were his top 5. He added some bonuses, and we have another person backstage with me. I'm bringing him to the forefront. Ladies and gentlemen, just join me in welcoming our next guest, TJ Legacy. What's up, brother?
How you doing? I finally made it to the big time. I am on Ask Schellie show.
You are.
Find my way to Look, I finally made it. I'm good. I have some time in between the meetings, so I'm here.
Thank you so much for tuning in and joining the stage with me. You look absolutely amazing. Can you please tell this community why you look so amazing?
Well, I went to and decided to this past year to really focus on my mental health and my physical health, and so I've, since lost over 100 pounds and just kind of working on those things. But it is a lot of work. So 6 days a week, twice a day, and really watching your diet. But it really started with cultivating your mind and getting a new perspective and outlook on life, and really dealing with past traumas and really figuring out what your triggers are. So I attribute a lot of the jumpstart of finding joy, if you haven't listened to it on my podcast where Schellie was actually a guest, she really helped me out with that. And so I am forever in debt and have forever gratitude for Schellie Fanfan, your emotional intelligence expert.
It is my privilege. It always is my privilege. Anytime, and I'm sure you feel it too with what you're doing, when we have the opportunity to walk in purpose and do exactly what we were created to do, every gift, skill, ability, talent that we have supports exactly what God called us to do. It's a beautiful thing. It is my honor and my privilege, and I thank you so much for tuning in. You got to tell us more about your podcast, but before we go there, I want to hear your top 5. I'm listening.
Listen, I saw Schellie put a question out there for the women, and I said, okay, I'm an expert. I can go ahead and get my. All right. So number 1, I hope everybody's got their pens, pencils, rulers, everything ready. Number 1, be my peace. Peace. Okay. Men want peace. And what I mean by that is security. We want to be able to, I know with men, a lot of times when we share stuff, whether it's about our past or our ambitions or anything, or just in general, our inner thoughts, we want to make sure that, especially when it comes to our past or past traumas, we want to make sure those things aren't being weaponized. Right. So that's a part of being my peace. On top of that, anybody, when it's the dating world, we can all go out on dates and have an activity and, get along and, go grab drinks, go to dinner. But can you be my peace? Can I hang out with you in my house clothes on a Saturday doing absolutely nothing and we just be in each other's presence? That is what men want. Can you just, am I watching the game? Are you participating? Are you being my peace? Are you being a helpmate, as the biblical people would say, as the church folks would say, right? The next one would be cooperation, right? Sometimes a lot of that, and I think my one of the guys was trying to say that, but he said it in a more a less articulate way. Cooperation. I think not having the tit for tat, as my mother would say, the tit for tat, the back and forth. I say up, she says down. I say right, she says left. I say the sky is blue, she said it ain't that blue today. Like, we want you to make sure that we're cooperating. We're having healthy communication tactics, and it's not something that is so combative. And I think that is attributed to past traumas in a relationship where it's like that's your only communication style. If that's your only communication style, that may not work with a guy who wants to have a future with you, is trying to actually build something healthy, because you're always going to be at odds. There's so much war that is outside in this world that if I am in my home, I don't want to be at war with you. if that makes sense. The next thing is, I know a lot of people say, well, communication is the biggest key. Communication. I don't think communication is the biggest key. I think comprehension is the biggest key, because you can communicate with, you know, each other. You can communicate with a brick wall. I can talk to a wall. I can communicate. But if the other person is not comprehending what I am saying or understanding my point of view, or at least taking it into consideration, you're never going to connect. You're never going to mesh. So I think finding or being around people to comprehend, you know, why you do what you do or how you view the world from your vantage point, I think is extremely beneficial to a healthy relationship. And full disclosure, I only know these things because I was really, really bad at them. So it takes time to, because it's like, because I've succeeded, because I've failed. And so sometimes failure is the best teacher. And so I've learned to be, so I try to be as transparent as possible when I'm on platforms. I'm going to go to my fifth one because the doctor kind of alluded to the other one. I'm going to say respect, right? So respect off the bat is the foundational piece. Like, if there is not mutual respect, and respect is, you should be, and I would put respect / loyalty, because you need to be more loyal to me in my absence than you are in my presence, right? If you are a respectable person, and this is mutual, it goes, both ways, because I know there's somebody in the comment section, Schellie, they're gonna say, well, men too, you know how they do, men too, they gotta be respected. What about y'all? I'm saying this goes both ways. It needs to be mutual respect, and I would say at least admiration. You have to respect that individual, because if you don't, then that's when you're going to be disrespectful. That's when the communication is going to break down. That's when you're not going to put the effort to comprehend who they actually are if there's no respect. And also if if you don't respect the person you with, you're going to have a Jada Pinkett situation. And we feeling for you, Will. #free Will Smith. We want to make sure that people are being respectful of their partners, so that you can have a healthy relationship. We'll have to talk about that on the side, Schellie, on another time.
Okay.
But I was gonna say, but the licensed clinical psychologist,
counselor.
Yes, he kind of put it. He talked about intimacy and good sex. Yes, that is important. And for those who don't think it's important, it is important. But I'm not going to harp on that. So, because he already talked about that and articulated that position more eloquent than I did. But I got another one. My fifth and final one, right, is equally yoked ambition.
Ooh.
Right? And so what that means is that, right, there's two types, and I always say this, right? There's two types of men in this world, right? There are builders and there are babblers, right? So if you are, and a builder is going to tell you not just, or a babbler is going to tell you all the things that he's going to do. Oh, baby, we're going to do this. I'm going to give you the moon, the stars. We're going to do this. We're going to go on this trip. We're going to do this. But an actual builder is going to show you the plan. You're going to show, because men produce results. You're going to actually see his plan come into fruition, right? But when we talk about equally yoked ambition, we don't want a partner that's just going to be a spectator. We don't want to be pulling somebody along. We want you running side by side with us, right? If we're building something, say like you're building a house or a foundation, I don't want you on the sideline drinking it. I mean, the shovel and be with me. Let's sprint. That's that power couple type of mentality. It doesn't have to be in your respective field, but as long as you are ambitious to building this thing, especially when we're talking about relationships or even marriage, it's a merger, right? And so I want to know that you are actually building something for your own future, so that I can look at that and say, wow, I see, your ambition is making me say, as a man, is like, yo, I got to be on my toes. I can't half step with you at all, because there is a certain standard, right? And so if a man has a standard of how he's upkeeping himself and how he is, trying to strive in his career or his education, you want to make sure that the partner that he with, because you're a reflection of each other, that they also too are in the same type of mindset, right? Like you see, I use an example of Vanessa and Kobe Bryant, right? Vanessa Bryant and Kobe Bryant. I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan. Kobe Bryant has this they said Mamba mentality, right? Where he's a go-getter and whether it's business, on the court. Since Kobe's untimely demise, you listen to Vanessa Bryant speak. She sounds just like Kobe. Even in business or even protecting her family, they have the same type of mentality, the same type of aggression, the same type of speak, go-getter. And that is why at a very young age, they got married really young. That's probably what kept them through all the trials of and challenges in their marriage that kept them afloat, because they were like, hey, we are building something. Because at times you're not always going to be 100% in your relationship, or whether in your marriage. I'm not married, but whether in your marriage, and you're going to want to make sure that, hey, if these compartments, like the Titanic, they had 5 compartments, and it could float on, I think they said they could float on 2, right? But then they stirred the boat, and so it cut all the compartments below, which let the water sink. You want to make sure that, hey, if something goes down with me, we can still be afloat, because you got me until I can continue to rebuild myself back up. But if you're not ambitious, and then I'm ambitious, but then something happens with me, like we had a pandemic and something happens with that, now what are we left to, right? And so you can't just be out here looking for another host family and saying, okay, well, he's not doing what he needs to do as a man, so now let me go try to find another one. Where it's like, no, you should be able to have a level of standard in the relationship. So those are my top 5. But yes, great sex is also important. Not the mediocre sex, but the great sex. Great sex.
Which comes by way of great intimacy. And listen, this was so good.
Correct. You did say exploration too.
He did. He said exploration. He said sexual intimacy and exploration.
I need to hear more of that conversation.
Listen, we're going to have him back, because we talk about intimacy a lot here. People want great sex, but they don't want to put the work into it to create the safety and intimacy that's required to make it so great. Right. And so we will definitely have him back. I hope you heard that, Mr. Patterson. All right, he already gave you your degree and called you doctor. Preston Patterson is a licensed mental health counselor. He's with the Center for the Healing Arts, centerforthehealingarts.com. Reach out to him. TJ Legacy, listen, your top 5 was be my peace. Do not weaponize my past. And we do that, women. Let's be honest. We do. One of the things that the first guest said before he even started is, don't push back. The one thing that he identified as an issue is, us women saying, we want the truth. We want to hear the truth. Talk to me. And when that finally happens, there's a pushback. A pushback may be, okay, so you're telling me this is what you want, but you do. No, we have to know the best time to share if you are asking him to share his expectations, listen. Don't push back. Listen, pay attention. And so for you, this was so good. Do not weaponize my past hurts. Be my peace was 1. Number 2, cooperation. If the sky is blue, say, yes, honey, it's blue. Don't say, well, it's a little bit darker blue. It looks like it's a little overcast today, right? But just cooperate. 3, comprehension. Oh my gosh. Hello. That was so good that it's not necessarily about communication, but comprehension. We talk about that all the time right here on the show, TJ. It's about this. So in communication, there's expressive communication and there's receptive communication. A lot of the times we're focused on what's expressed, but we're not focusing on what's received. I know for myself, I often find myself with the people that I love saying this very thing. What do you hear me saying? Because if you are not receiving what it is I am saying in the context, right, in the clarity in which I'm verbalizing it, then the whole entire message is lost. And this is what keeps me in business as an intimacy coach, right? As a marriage counselor, helping people and it happens all the time in sessions. What did you just hear him say? What did you just hear her say? And something completely different comes out of their mouth. So comprehension. You did talk about intimacy as well, just kind of dovetailing into our previous speaker. You said respect. And even when you were talking about respect, you also talked about loyalty. And you said something that was so good. It didn't make my top 5 list because I was really struggling over it. But you said admiration. That's so good. I just want that to marinate, ladies. Admiration, to admire the man of God that you are with. And then you brought it home. You said equally yoked ambition, which kind of goes back to what the first guest said about not being a liability, being an asset, that together we can make things happen. Equally yoked ambition. Tell us about your podcast and where people can find you.
Listen, this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, is not like any other podcast. This is the most dangerous podcast on all of your streaming services. This is the Soapbox Podcast with 2X. We have 4 independent Black media journalists, and we are talking hip hop. We're talking pop culture. We're talking politics, social justice, mental health, domestic violence awareness. We do it all. Our tagline is any and everything, and we're just going to put the medicine in the candy, but we're also going to give you a little something to kind of, might be a little spicy for some of y'all. But we are happy to have guests like Shelly Fanfan. We've had D.L. Hughley. We've had other comedians, politicians, Congresswoman Deval Demings, Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings, for those who are in Florida and the Orange Central Florida area. We have been blessed to have a lot of great guests, and we do a live show similar to what Shelly's doing now. Ours are Thursdays at 8 p.m. And I have the pleasure and the honor of having 3 great co-hosts. Giovanni Hampton, who is a reporter, Jess A. with Jessica Andrade, who is entertainer extraordinaire, up and coming. And then we have my man, Alan York, independent artist, and he's just an jack of all trades. So, that's my guy. But yes, that is the Soapbox Podcast. If you like, it's pretty much like Wildin' Out meets CNN. So it's different. It's a different type of way to digest your news content for the week. So we hope you all will join us. And Shelly, we also hope to have you back again. Sometimes we know you're busy and everything, but we would love to catch back up with you. It's been too long.
My cell phone, my personal cell phone, so you can reach out to me. I'm always available to say yes when I can. When I'm available, you got my yes. When I'm available. Absolutely. And even when I'm not available, I'll make it happen. You said the Soapbox Podcast, that's SOAPBOXX, correct?
Correct. Soapbox Podcast with 2X, and it's also on all of our streaming services and Instagram. Follow us on Instagram and our Facebook page. Yes, and you can chime in and disagree with me. There's some things that I know I hurt some of y'all when I talked about Jada Pinkett. It's okay. We'll get through that. We're gonna get through that, and we're gonna free will by the new year. God willing.
You said #free Will Smith. Thank you so much, love. I appreciate you coming on. We will be talking offline. God bless you. You look great. Continue on your health journey. Absolutely. It's inspiring to so many people.
Thank you, Shelly.
You are very welcome. Oh my gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, wow. We're getting some good food today. Let's see what you guys have to say here. Let me get to the comments before I share my little feedback in the 5 minutes that I have. TJ Legacy says, this should be a good one. Feeling the glasses. Thank you, love. Thank you so much. Alethea from Atlanta saying, come see me. I will be sure to let you know next time, because I've been creeping in and creeping right back out. And TJ Legacy, thank you so much for coming on stage with me and sharing your top 5. Alethea writes, he wants a soft place to land. This is her top 5. He wants her to be his Okay, I'm seeing some consistency here. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are just tuning in, we are talking about a question that a gentleman wrote in. He says, you know what? I need my girlfriend, wife, fiance, I'm not sure. He said my woman, to hear your perspective on what the top 5 things men want from women. And so we had 3 guests join us and they provided their feedback. Make sure you catch the replay. We have a comment from one of our listeners, Alethea, who says he wants a soft place to land. He wants her to be his peace. He wants someone who keeps a neat home. He wants a cheerleader. He wants someone who can cook. And she added a bonus, and that is someone who will be a good mother. We had New York in the building. She says, Hempstead in the house. Hello. Thank you so much. For those of you who are tuning in, please make sure you go into the comment section, share your 5. You can also agree or disagree with something that you may have heard early in the show. Go in and say high 5 to those top 5, or I don't agree with this thing that was said. Engage, engage, engage. My listeners, those who write in, often say that they go back over and over and over again to go over what it is you say, your comments, your feedback. So make sure you go into the comment section and let us know what you believe the top 5 things are that a man wants from his woman. Let me give you my feedback before we log off here. I'm so full. Super excited about all the responses. Thank you so much. Make sure you share. You never know whose line of sight or earshot this live, the playback will fall in. Each one, teach one. Make sure you click share. All right. So one of the things that I initially thought about when I saw the question was what a man wants from a woman and what a man wants from his woman are 2 different things. And I'm very big on words. And those who have had the privilege of having therapy with me know that I'm super sensitive about words. Like, do you really feel that way? Let's really look into the word that you're using, because words will cause us to derail our own emotional growth. And so we have to attach the correct words, when we are communicating, when we are sharing, when we are processing. And so for me, I feel like even though it may seem very minor, there's a difference that what a man wants from a woman in his life versus what a man wants from his woman, right, can be 2 different things. And so a woman, a man who is entertaining a woman in his life, but she's not necessarily someone that he's committed to, those expectations or the things that he wants from her may change, right? So that's just something that I want to put out there. But because he wrote in and said, I want my woman to hear this, makes me believe that he is specifically talking about the one. And because he's talking about the one, it's going to guide my response. Another thing that I want to put out there before I share my top 5 is what a man wants from a woman may change based on his level of health. Right? And so if this man is not necessarily healthy, it may change that top 5, because I can give you the top 5 things a narcissistic man wants from his woman. I can share the top 5 things an immature man wants from his woman. Come on, somebody. I can share the top 5 things an insecure man wants from his woman. I can give you the top 5 things an emotionally injured and wounded man may want from his woman. I can tell you the top 5 things an abusive man wants from his woman. And so that matters. Let me say it again. The level of health of that man matters, because based on how healthy or lack thereof he is, right, will determine what it is he wants from his woman, right? And so we have to be careful before women, you start to hold yourself accountable to meeting these needs. You got to be able to assess how healthy your man is, right? Hopefully that assessment took place before you even made the commitment. Half the time we see the red flags and we keep it moving forward anyway. But I need to make this clear. My perspective is coming from that of a healthy man, a man who's emotionally intelligent, a man that has done the work, a man that has been intentional about healing his wounds, a man that has self-discipline, a man who has inclined his ears to the voice of God. Come on, somebody. I'm talking about a whole man, okay? I'm talking about a whole man. So when I bring to you the top 5 of the top 5 things a man wants from his woman, I'm talking about the top 5 things a whole and healthy, God-fearing man wants from his woman. I wish I had 5 amens up in here. Preston Patterson says, I forgot to mention, all those top needs I mentioned are things a child needs from their parents for healthy development. Ultimately, we want our partner to give us what we have always needed since we were born. Woo! Mr. Patterson, you can't just leave us like that. You can't just drop that and leave. We're going to bring him back. We're going to bring him back. That was so good. Let me go back to that. He says, I forgot to mention, all those top 5 needs I mentioned are things a child needs from their parents for healthy development. Ultimately, we want our partner to give us what we have always needed since we were born. And don't laugh at me. We want you back. That was great feedback. Daphne Fortuna, Queen's in the house, says, I had to log on. Love this. Thank you so much for tuning in, Queen. All right, so here we go. So I've already discussed that my perspective is coming from what a man wants from his woman, a healthy man. What a healthy man wants from his woman. And I have about 1 minute. I'm going to go ahead and quickly wrap it up. The number one, I'm not doing it in any chronological order. I tried and I said, oh, it's so difficult. So this is what I did. For those of you who don't know, I am not a man. So if you're surprised by that, you can let me know in the comment section and I will jump you later. Okay. So I am not a man. So this is the perspective, right? I really thought about and meditated and then went through my referral information on what has caused couples, right? Those main issues that have caused couples to come to my practice in the past year. Because I figured that would be the best, most objective way for me to be able to respond to this question, right? Because if I did it personally, my 5 would probably be a little different, but I wanted it to be as objective as possible. So I go back, I'm looking through all my referral information, all the referral packets to kind of summarize what people come to counseling for in the past year. And that allowed me to develop this list of 5. And the first, a man wants from his woman respect, right? And so this may require delayed response. I know it was said as shut the blank up by our first guest, but it's a matter of learning the power in delayed response. Just being present and not feeling the need to tap in verbally or insert yourself, but just to kind of, and that's not all of what respect is, right? I'm just giving you a part of it, but respect is honor, right? And honor is an action word, right? And honor is not something that we feel, and honor is something that we do. Honor is something that we do. So you should be able to say that respect looks like this. These are the observable behaviors of respect. I can measure it. I can measure the frequency, the duration, the intensity, right? So respect. And I wish I had more time to go into this a little bit deeper. If I have to do part 2, I will, because I'm sure somebody's going to call in and say, why didn't you do the women's top 5? Because we don't have a top 5. We have a top 50. Let's be real. We have top 50, but that's neither here or there. The second, sex, right? Sex and intimacy is another top 5 from Ask Schellie's perspective. And as we have said often in this, just in this segment, that great sex is manifested from great intimacy and attachment and bonding. So when people come to me and they want to know about how to prolong my orgasms and how do I find erogenous zones and all these other things that they believe will maximize their sexual experience, I have to go in and assess how intentional they are about intimacy. The third, a man needs from his woman the space to lead. The space to lead. Allowing that man of God to be the priest of that household to lead. And when things may fall short, that we are not attacking, dehumanizing, demasculating, right? But we are there to be soft and encouraging and allowing the space for that man to lead. So we talked about respect, sex, right? We talked about intimacy. And we're talking about consistent as well when we're talking about sexual intimacy. And we always break it down into 3 categories: frequency, duration, and intimacy. And so finding that space where the both of you are having your needs met is key. The third, the space to lead. The fourth thing a healthy man wants from his woman is the ability to care for him. And what we have defined care as on the Ask Schellie show is being very clear, being aware of the needs of the man that you love, and being responsive to that awareness. Just last week, we talked about it. It's one thing to be aware, but it's another to be responsive to that awareness. So the things that you are aware of, how are you translating that into how you are behaving, how you are responding, right? So caring is the capacity to have that clarity on what he needs, and in a very healthy way, prioritizing those needs over and above your own in a healthy way, because there are very wounded women who do that in a very unhealthy way. But a man is looking for a caring woman, a person who has the capacity to do that. And the very last one, again, this is coming from the perspective of what I have dealt with when I have individuals that come and say, we need help. I summarize all those referrals and took a look at some of the presenting issues and came up with this list of 5. And the last one is a healthy man needs from his woman strength and confidence. It was hard for me to separate the two, because with confidence, there's like this power, this strength. You're showing up healthy. You're showing up as an asset and not a liability. Guest number 1 kind of talked about liability and debt, right? But with confidence, you can give that man the space that he needs. In that confident spirit, you are able to acknowledge those accomplishments and celebrate them. Because a lot of times when we are wounded or we lack confidence, we tend to not provide that space. We tend to have trust issues, right? That cause a whole nother string of issues, right? But that when we are confident, we are able to show up really healthy and strong and resilient, and we're able to be an asset and contribute to that relationship. It's better. We're able to, or we have more of a space to be trusting. There's just so much benefits to being a confident woman. And so a healthy man, because there are men that don't want a confident woman, and those men are not so healthy. But a healthy man wants a confident woman, a woman that could stand her own, who's walking in their wellness and their power and their authority. So based on the presenting issues that have landed on my desk, that's my top 5. Respect, sex, the space to lead, a caring woman, and a confident woman. That's my feedback, ladies and gentlemen. We are way over time. But once again, I have had a blast with each and every one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ask Schellie show. Please be sure to go into the comment section and share your perspective on the top 5 things you believe a man wants from his woman. Preston Patterson says, thank you. I'd be honored to come back, and we will have him back, especially when we go deeper into sexual intimacy in relationships. Guys, listen, Our goal here on the Ask Schellie Show is to provide each and every one of you with wellness tools. Emotional intelligence gives us the opportunity to have a wellness toolbox that is overflowing, especially at a time like this. Our joy, our stability, our wellness needs to be independent of the circumstances happening around us. And we are able to achieve that full self acceptance and self actualization and just depositing glitter wherever we go. We get that by being intentional about enhancing our wellness. And so I encourage you to visit with me on my website, www.askschellie.com. There you are able to connect with us. You can book me for an event. I will be your keynote speaker, bring fire to your event. You can book a consultation with me, especially if you are thinking that, you know what, I think I need some extra support. If you know that there's something that was said today that just struck you in a very unique way, go ahead and explore that. Lean into that. It's okay. And you can do that by connecting with me at www.askschellie.com. If this was a blessing to you, guess what? There's a year and a half worth of videos just like what you have watched today. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ask Schellie, and have access to all of my videos. Make sure that you click that notifications button. Anytime we go live or there's a new upload, you will be notified. You can also, for those of you who are in relationships, you can buy my book at www.askschellie.com. I co-collaborate on a book called Struggling to Keep the Vows. And it just talks about relationship struggles and all of the ways that I and many other couples have found ways to address those challenges. And all of us address those challenges in different ways. So you got to get the book. It will be a blessing to you. It's Struggling to Keep the Vows book. You can get that on my website. For those of you who have your own questions, be free to submit those questions to info@askschellie.com. You can also submit them right there on my website. Again, that's www.askschellie.com. We've come to the end of our show. Each and every one of you are encouraged to do whatever it is you need to do to lean into your emotional intelligence, your wellness. If you don't think you have any issues, I'm good, I'm fine. Well, guess what? Sign up for therapy. Do some tune-up sessions, even if it's once a month. It's so healthy to have a space where you can, in a very non-judgmental, safe space with someone who is an expert in this field, someone who is anointed to do this work, to help give you a different perspective, to give you another ear, someone who is inclining their ears to your voice and your needs. It's such a blessing. You have the right to be well. You have the right to be well. So you are encouraged to do all that you need to do to be the greatest version of yourself. Till next time, be well and be great in all that you do. God bless.